Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1384, written by Hartagon. Me and my dad saw a flying car. When I was like 8 or 9, my dad was driving me to a doctor's appointment. It was like 8 in the morning and on a highway, so still a bit of traffic from people on their morning commutes to work downtown. Traffic wasn't exactly bumper to bumper and at a crawl, but it was still rather packed and about half the speed limit or less. As we were going along, I glanced over at the rearview mirror. It was in a truck with those extra wide mirrors with multiple angles, so I could see behind us despite being in the passenger seat. About 3 or 4 cars back, I saw a car literally leave the ground and do a front flip, landing upside down. My dad was a firefighter, so he pulled over to see if he could help in some way. He couldn't. But neither of us saw what caused the accident, and I still have no idea. It wasn't the guy speeding into the back of the car or in front of him, or the car behind him speeding into him. There simply wasn't enough room for anyone to be speeding. Plus, neither the car in front of him or behind him were involved in the accident as far as I can tell. No one else stopped, traffic in front of him kept going, and traffic behind him went around and kept going. I don't see how he could have hit someone or have been hit hard enough to do a literal front flip and not have the accident heavily damage the other car as well. The driver of the car was pretty banged up and unconscious, so it's not like my dad could inquire as to what happened. He couldn't even help at all really, since it wouldn't be safe to move him. We were there and my dad just basically kept an eye on him until the fire department and police arrived. No idea if my dad ever got any updates on what happened or how the driver turned out, and if he did, he never told me. But even now, I can't think of any way for that accident to have occurred in the way it occurred. Case notes file 1384. My dad and I saw a flying car. So without more details, it's kinda hard to comment on this. All I can think is, something must have been on the road to have caused the energy to flip from its own kinetic energy, the car's flip. But even that doesn't really explain it, does it? I mean, no other cars affected behind it, so it couldn't be something stuck to the road. The only thing I can think of, I saw a video a while ago. Really unfortunate for the person involved, but they were on the freeway, and there's a truck on the right side of this SUV. And one of the wheels, it had 2 wheels I guess, it just breaks off. Or maybe it had just 1 wheel, I don't know. But I know the truck kept driving, but one of the wheels in the front lost its bolts I guess, then kept rolling, and it rolled into the lane of the SUV, who rolled over it, and I guess the momentum of the angular velocity of the wheel propelled the car upwards, literally flipped over, basically kind of what you described, almost like a flip onto itself, over itself. Just from a wheel that broke off like that. I would not have expected a car could do that. But I guess it makes some sense. There's energy that's propelling it, because the wheel is spinning, so it's pushing up, and then the own kinetic energy of the car lifted off the ground, propelled itself, flipped over, and what could cause a wheel to just lose out like that? It's kind of crazy. Was there some influence from some other unseen entity? I don't know. Maybe it's just bad luck, but damn. Very unfortunate. Case file number 1385, written by Space and Time 12, The Aliens of Fire. So this happened a few years ago. It was probably like 2015, 2016. I don't usually share what I saw, because I know people will just dismiss me. I've told a few people, but there weren't any other witnesses, and I didn't have a camera capable of taking a picture in the dark. I had a basic phone with a slide-out keyboard. Anyway, it was approximately between 2200 and 0000 hours, and I was at the little dirt parking lot for a nature preserve that's only about a mile or so away from where I live. So I go down there to smoke, and I'm sitting on the tailgate of my pickup truck, loading up. Important note, I was not intoxicated when I witnessed this. When I saw a flying object I was not able to identify. There were some fluffy clouds, and this object can be best described as a campfire in the sky. It was orange, yellow, and red, and continuously moving in the way a fire moves when burning. That fire emoji is pretty close to what its general shape was. So this object descended through the clouds, and I could see it illuminate the cloud as it passed through. It moved very slowly, and stopped on a dime after it came through the bottom of the cloud. At this point, it's kinda just hovering in one spot below the clouds. I tried to take a picture, but my camera couldn't detect its light as it was too far away. But I got very excited and I was thinking, holy crap, this is my chance to make contact with the aliens. I need to try to signal it and try to get it to come closer. Maybe these aliens will be down to smoke with me. The object seemed aware that I was watching it, because it just hung in the sky, not really moving. After assessing the situation, my best option to signal to it was to hold my phone up facing the object and press a button to activate the screen. So that's what I did, and the light came on my phone. And as soon as I did, the object flew away faster than anything humans have, and in a direction that human aircraft cannot fly. It moved in a J shape, up through the clouds. I'm assuming back into space. It was instant acceleration. Nothing that humans have can move like that. People inside would be crushed by 100 Gs of force. I have encountered a few other people in my area that have seen a similar object that they can only describe as like a campfire in the sky, with movement capabilities unlike anything on Earth. Question suivante 1385. The Aliens of Fire. So I'm sure other people are getting this too, but there's heavy Independence Day vibes from this experience. And you know, that's something that movie got right, at least as far as we understand physics now. If a ship was capable of coming into our atmosphere at high velocity, the atmosphere around the ship would be superheated, and the ship too. Unless they have some method to remove heat almost instantly, but maybe these aliens do not, and maybe there's just no way, physically speaking, no matter how advanced you get, that heat is just spread into the atmosphere. Or maybe it's a government craft that's automated. No one inside, which would explain how the G-forces don't matter. To an extent. I mean, if you get enough G-forces, you can literally rip the craft apart. But assuming there's really strong alloys that we don't know about, yeah, maybe you could get really high G movements. So it really comes down to special alloys and automation, which we can automate drones. Why not an entire craft? I think it's possible. So maybe it wasn't aliens, maybe it is just our own government tests. But it could be aliens too. I won't discount that. Bonus file written by Anonymous. Casino Rama's Dark Secret. Long story short, in late summer 2008, I was in the bushes outside the back doors to Casino Rama, lying on the ground well concealed within the bushes, waiting to die. I had taken one last flyer on gambling and lost everything. Then thrown away my wallet and stretched out on the ground there in the bush. I ended up lying there for 5 hours before I got hauled off to the hospital. At some point during those 5 hours, some kind of rodent crossed my leg. It was walking strangely, jerkily, very tense in its movements and staring around like it was terrified. But it treated my body like part of the ground and didn't seem to be aware that it was walking over top of another living being. I've never seen this type of rodent before or since, and I don't know what species it is. Given that the casino is on native reservation land, it could have been some curious native spirit having a look-see at this suicidal maniac lying in its bushes. I've never been back, but I've thought about passing through that reservation just to see if the local spirits show any sign of recognizing me. Case notes for the bonus file. Casino Rama's Dark Secret. So gambling addiction is no joke. Can leave people as down and out as any drug. Hopeless and lifeless. It sounds like you recovered though, so I'm happy about that. It's mightily impressive. As far as the rodent, well, a curious spirit possessing a rodent or perhaps causing a hallucination of it? Maybe. Can't say too much on it beyond that though. It did sound almost like it was apathetic to you, didn't really care. Maybe slightly curious. But that's it. Now time for the quote of the day. We are so accustomed to disguise ourselves to others that in the end we become disguised to ourselves. François de la Rochefoucauld. Yes, that's the ultimate mask, isn't it? The mask we wear to hide ourselves from ourselves. Maybe because we're not proud of who we are, the choices we made, a lot of guilt and regret. It adds up, and then you're just not happy with who you are. Now, the beautiful thing about being human is you can always change who you are. You can't change your past and the choices you made. But you can start to forgive yourself. But only. This only works if you actually genuinely are trying to change and don't go back to your old ways. If you forgive yourself, but you never change, well, that's a recipe for continuing the same behavior because you'll just go back to what you were doing that was bad. So if you're wearing a mask because you're not proud of who you are or the choices you made in the past, be introspective. Think about what were those things that you did wrong and why you made those choices. The why is critical, because if you don't understand the why, you're going to make the same mistake again. You're going to choose it again without even really understanding. That's no good. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.